26. The new year begins. I take the bus on the first day of winter quarter, my mind spinning, tangling all the threads that connect my thoughts. I think about my classes and the grades I'll need to get off academic probation. I think about Geoffrey, who texted me two cat pictures this morning. I think about Ji Yoon, who has been giving me the cold shoulder. I think about Alexis and wonder what she has been up to. I think about George, who gazed at me unblinkingly this morning, causing me to shudder. And my old friends, I wonder how they spend their days now. Jenny, who knew everything, who loved to argue just for the sake of arguing. In high school, people called her abrasive, but she was well meaning and always looked out for us. Sarah, who was born with a silver spoon in her mouth. In spite of this, or perhaps because of it, she was generous and kind and thoughtful. She had a way of making people feel special, of listening so intensely and deeply that it made you feel like you were the most important person in the world. Han Byul, the youngest, who skipped fourth grade because she was gifted. She was our school's valedictorian, and competitive to a fault. Nevertheless, Han Byul was the one who showed up unannounced last year when I was sick with the flu. I'd had a terrible cough and fever, and she surprised me with a giant pot of samgi tang and a thermos warm with honey, pear, ginger tea. Later I learned that it took her over 6 hours to make that samgi tang, simmering the chicken and ginseng slowly over a low flame. Even Omma said that it was some of the best she had ever tasted. The bus rolls over a bump, jolting me upward and causing my head to bump against the window. Stop thinking about them. You don't need them anymore. I spot Alexis in my first class. She waves, patting the empty seat next to her. Did you have a good break? She asks. Not too bad, I guess. I take a deep breath. I don't know what compels me to confess to her, but I lean forward and whisper, I'm on academic probation. Things haven't been easy. I haven't been sleeping well. Family problems. I hope your break was better than mine. It's a relief to say it out loud. I'm so sorry. Alexis lowers her voice to meet mine. If it's any consolation, I haven't been sleeping well either. My mother is sick, and she trails off, looking stricken, and I notice for the first time the dark shadows under her eyes. Clearing her throat, she rummages in her bag. I hope I'm not being too forward, but while I can't help you with your family problems, I might be able to help you with your sleep. My sister gave me these pills. Ambien, I think. They work well. It only takes 30 minutes to fall asleep after I take them, sometimes less, if I'm lucky. She presses three white capsules into my palm. Without looking down, I stow them away in my pocket. Thanks, I mumble. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry to hear about your mom. Yeah, it sucks. She's getting better though. Alexis stares at her fingernails and picks at her cuticles, tearing off a tiny piece of skin. Anyway, don't worry about being on academic probation, she mumbles. I know a lot of people who are going through it, but I've never heard of anyone getting kicked out. The school is pretty forgiving, especially if something is going on in your personal life. We can study together too if you want. I'd love that. I'm sure you're doing much better than I am. She laughs. Not by much. No one told me it was going to be this much work. By the way, where's Geoffrey? I feel like you two are always together. Is he your boyfriend? No, we're not dating, I say, a little too quickly. I cough, hoping she didn't notice how the words catch in my throat. She studies me, her gaze piercing. Well, are you trying to date him? No, I'm not interested in him like that at all. Really? I'm surprised. You do know that he has a huge thing for you, right? No way, we're just friends. He knows that I don't feel that way about him. Alexis rolls her eyes. You're joking. Anybody who sees him when he's with you can tell. But it's good that you don't like him that way. Why? He's a little strange, don't you think? Something is off. You have never gotten that feeling? I shake my head, and she shrugs in response. Maybe it's just me then. I get the sense that he's not the person he's pretending to be. I mean, did you hear what he was saying in philosophy? She deepens her voice, trying to imitate him. There is an imbalance in the power dynamic between men and women, resulting in the lack of female autonomy, stemming from the globalization of male domination and patriarchal systems all over the world. It is so ridiculous that I wrote it down. She rolls her eyes. Come on, none of that even makes any sense. He's just putting together a bunch of buzzwords to try and sound smart. He's my friend, I say. Honestly, you don't know him. If you two hadn't gotten off the wrong foot in the beginning of the school year, it would have been fine. But, even as I'm saying this, I remember the exact scenario she is describing and find myself cringing. There have been moments like that, and others too, where Geoffrey has been more than a little pompous. Sometimes he even puts on a strange accent when saying these things. I pretend not to notice. Sorry, Alexis says. I didn't mean to offend. It's cool that you stand up for your friends. People tell me that all the time, that I lack boundaries. She makes air quotes with her fingers and chuckles. I laugh with her. Anyway, do you have my number? I shake my head. My hand trembles as I pass her my phone, our fingers touching. Text me so I have yours too, she says. Hearing this, my stomach swoops. Even as Professor Thompson walks in and begins talking, I can't focus. Alexis's number is burning a hole through my pocket, and when my phone buzzes, I jump and scramble for it, even though she's sitting right next to me, facing the front of the room. It's Geoffrey. Where are you? The message reads. Wanna grab some food after your class is over? I keep thinking about what Alexis said. Why does it make me feel so uneasy? I glance at her. Her fingers are flying over her laptop keyboard. Really busy today, I write back. Rain check? How can you be busy when it's the first day back, lol? Stop being uptight and have some fun for once. Let's get coffee. It'll be quick. Cat emojis. I really can't. Maybe next week? OMG, lol, you're so ridiculous sometimes. Where are you right now? I can come meet you and give you your Xmas present. Cat emojis. That's so cool of you. You didn't need to get me anything, but I really have to bounce after this class. Have to help my mom with something. I'll see you in class on Friday, though. It'll take 1 second, but okay, whatever. I start typing back, ready to give in and agree to meet him. I feel bad that I've upset him, especially when he's being nice to me, but then I realize this is something Geoffrey does regularly. Even when I say no, he pushes and pushes until I say yes. I peek at Alexis again, and this time she notices, grinning. "What?" she mouths. "Nothing," I mouth back. Even in her tired and worried state, Alexis is beautiful. I tuck my hand into my pocket and touch each of the pills that she has given me. Her kindness and generosity are heavy in my mind. Sorry, in my hand. I emerge from my last class and find the campus shrouded in a misty drizzle. The sun has disappeared behind a cloud of gray. I wasn't prepared for rain, and I hurry to the bus stop, holding my bag over my head. Thoughts of Alexis linger in my head, overshadowing my uncertainties about Geoffrey. There's one other person waiting for the bus, and they are bundled up in a thick scarf, hat, and jacket, so well covered that it's impossible to tell what they look like or who they are. The only thing I can see is their eyes, which are a very dark color, maybe brown. They glance at me briefly before turning away. By the time the bus finally arrives, I'm soaked to the bone and so cold that my teeth are chattering. I motion with my head to let the other person know that they can go inside first, but they shake their head. "You first," they seem to be saying. When the bus door opens, I'm hit with a blast of warm air. My muscles sag with relief. My fingers are numb. I blow on them as I watch the cars passing outside. The bus starts with a groan and a screech, and even though the bus is empty, the strange person from outside sits in the seat directly across from me. At my stop, I stand up and notice that they are standing too, and even though it's warm inside, they haven't removed any of their clothing, not even the scarf. My sweater is dry now, so they must be sweating heavily under all those layers. In the time I've taken the bus, I've never seen anybody else get off at my stop, but today, when I stride onto the sidewalk, I hear soft footsteps following behind me. 27. For every step I take, there is a muted echo. At first, I'm convinced that it's all in my head, but after walking a couple blocks, I'm certain that I'm being followed. It's the person from the bus. When I speed up, they speed up. When I slow down, they slow down too. Right away, my mind goes to a dark place. I imagine a kidnapping, rape, murder. Fear courses through me. My heart starts to pound. I have no money, just a few dollars that I found at home. It doesn't amount to much. My bag is filled with notebooks and pencils and pens and printouts of school assignments. I don't own anything valuable. The only thing I have is my body, and the thought of something being done to it makes me sick. When I was a child, Appa made me take taekwondo classes. He was certain that I'd need it someday, and instead of being grateful, I was angry. At the time, I didn't understand why. "I don't want to," I wailed. "You can't make me." My father crouched down so that we were on eye level. His expression was solemn. "One day You might need to know how to defend yourself. Now I understand the fear he was feeling, the horrors he was imagining. This was why he wanted me to learn self-defense. I go through all the possible scenarios in my head. I could fight, but I would probably lose, especially if it's a man. I could run, but he would most certainly be faster. I could scream, but by the time anybody came out, I would probably be dead, or worse. My hands shake. A vision floats into my mind, and I grasp onto it in sheer desperation. The knife. A few weeks before he left, Appa and I got into an argument. Once he learned that I would have to take the bus to and from school on most days, he wanted me to carry a pocket knife. When he pulled it out to show me, I was afraid. The blade was so sharp, so shiny, so lethal looking. I couldn't imagine needing such a terrible thing. "I won't be with you all the time," he said. He tugged the cold metal into my palm. "I won't be okay until I know that you're safe." The realization dawns on me. He must have known then that he was going to leave. That was what he must have meant when he said those words. I put my hand into my bag as nonchalantly as I can. The knife is at the bottom, covered by crumbs and hair ties and all the lip balms that I keep buying and forgetting. With a silent prayer of thanks to my father, I unfurl it and wait until the steps are close, until I can practically feel this stranger's breath on the back of my neck. I whirl around. The knife starts slipping out of my hand. At the last second, I get a firm grip on the handle and I hold the blade out in front of me, trembling. There's nobody there. The street lamps have blinked on, yellow circles of light dancing on the asphalt. The moon is a crescent smiling down on me. The wind whistles past and the trees sway in the breeze. Everything is still damp from the rain. I'm alone. Clutching the knife, I round the corner before sprinting to the front door of my apartment building. I glance behind me and unlock the gate, fumbling with my keys. Once I'm inside, I catch my breath and survey the street. I almost can't believe it, but it's empty. It really is. But the person was real. They were following me. I didn't imagine anything. Then, where are they? Appa explained to me that, as a girl, I had to understand my fragility. Danger lurked on every corner. It would be easy, he said, for people to snatch me up from the sidewalk on my way home from school, for them to do terrible things to me. Yet I took no stock in his words, believing that his fears were overblown. Nobody looked at me when I walked alone. Nobody paid me any attention. I was so convinced of my invulnerability that even when I thought about George, about what I wanted to do to him, I never considered what he could do to me. I stopped dead in my tracks, my pulse quickening. What if it was George following me? I step into the elevator, my shoulders sagging with exhaustion. Terrified, I keep the knife out. I should feel safer inside, but instead I feel a sense of impending doom. He knows what you're thinking, and he's trying to get you first. The walls in our building's elevator are felted in a dark gray and covered in stains. The numbers on the buttons were scratched off ages ago, and whenever we have guests over, which is rare, either Jiyun or I have to go down and bring them up to the right floor. The ceiling hosts one single dingy light that is home to 100 dead cockroaches. They are practically fossilized at this point, their antennae crumbling into dust. Appa hated the elevator more than we did, and every time we had to take it up or down, he grumbled and fidgeted the whole way. When we first moved in, one of our elderly neighbors, Mrs. Lee, got stuck inside. The fire department was called, and it took them nearly 4 hours to pry the doors open with a crowbar. Mrs. Lee was wailing the entire time because she was certain she was going to die in there, and we found her shivering, sitting in a puddle of her own urine. Even now, years later, the elevator smells of her piss. The scuffed metal doors close, jolting me upward. As I approach my floor, all the terrible thoughts in my head tumble against each other. What if George is already there, waiting for me? What if he's on the other side of the elevator? My fingers tremble uncontrollably. The doors slide open and I hold the knife above my head, ready to drive it through flesh and bone. And what the hell? Ji-yoon stumbles backward, holding her hands out in front of her face. What are you doing? Oh my God, Ji-yoon, I'm sorry. I thought you're being crazy. I came out looking for Mom. What are you even doing? As I walk into the apartment, I tell her the entire story, though I'm careful to leave out my suspicions about George. Instead, I pretend I have no idea who the person is. She listens, growing paler by the second. Her fists are tightly clenched. I can't believe this. You can't take the bus anymore. It's not safe. Should we call the police? Her fingers drift to her ankle. I prod her hand and shake my head. Don't do that. She grimaces. Should we call the police? She repeats. No, it's fine. We don't need to call the police. There's no point. Nothing happened. Nothing happened now, but what about later? What if they come back? Ji-yoon's turned into an anxious mess. She won't stop babbling. I take her hand as gently as I can and change the subject. What were you saying about Amma? You can't find her? Yeah, I'm worried about her. She told me she'd be back an hour ago, and now she isn't answering her phone. Neither is George. You don't think... She looks at me with a horrified expression. You don't think that person did something to them, do you? Oh my God! Oh my God! She stands up and begins pacing. I'm sure she's fine, I say in a small voice. I'm not sure if I believe myself. Let's wait for a while, and if she doesn't come back soon, we'll go look for her. Suddenly, there's an ear-splitting scream at our door. It's a woman's scream. Ji-yoon and I bolt up at the same time and crash into each other as we rush toward the sound. As we get to it, the door bursts open. In the doorway is Umma, crying and blubbering, tears streaming down her face. George hovers behind her, looking sheepish. When I see him, I flinch. Umma's left hand is raised, and I lunge forward to grab it, and the shoe rack tumbles to the floor. What's wrong? Where are you hurt? I shout. Umma seems incapable of speaking, of producing comprehensible words of any kind. She sputters nonsense while shoving her hand in my face again. I don't understand, but Ji-yoon pushes past me, letting out an enormous gasp. Only then do I realize what she's crying about. There's an engagement ring on her finger, complete with a diamond the size of my pinky nail. Finally my mother finds her voice. "We are getting married!" she shrieks. 29. George leaves to pick up celebratory Chinese takeout, which frankly seems to be just regular takeout, and Amma recounts the story of the proposal in dramatic fashion. She can't stop bouncing from leg to leg, her hands gesticulating wildly. "It was romantic," she says, with a dreamy expression on her face. "He asked if we could go to CVS to pick up some medicine, and when we were stopped at the light, he asked if I wanted to get married. I told him to stop being silly, but then he pulled the ring out of his pocket." Behind her back, Ji-yoon makes a face. Uma scurries into her room, leaving Ji-yoon and me on the couch. We are uncomfortably silent, keeping our eyes away from each other. From where we are sitting, we can hear Uma in her bedroom. She's calling every single person on her contact list and telling them the news. An agonizing heaviness settles into my body. The room is too small and too hot, and I want to fan myself and cry, but Ji-yoon is next to me, looking anguished. It's impossible for George to be the person who followed me. The timing doesn't make sense. I squeeze my eyes shut as Ji-yoon whimpers. "What?" I whisper to her. "What is it?" "Uma and Appa's divorce," she says. "I forgot. It's official." "As of when?" "Today." My hands are curled in my lap. They are heavy and my body doesn't feel like my own. I stand up, wobbling. Ji-yoon grabs my arm to steady me. I conjure up an image of my father's face. It floats in the air, ghostly and strange. He frowns as though I have inconvenienced him somehow. Just by thinking of him, by summoning his memory. I wonder if Ji-yoon can see him too. How long has it been since we last saw him? How long has it been since we last heard his voice? A few months back, Oma randomly pulled me aside to tell me, "Fathers don't need their children like mothers do." Her face was solemn. "If you two were taken from me, I'd be devastated. I wouldn't be able to go on. But your dad? Things are different for him." Different how? I wanted to ask. I didn't understand what she meant. Was it to tell me that Appa didn't care about me? That he wasn't devastated by the loss of Ji-yoon and me? And if so, how was that fair? I should have known long before my mother found out I saw my father's secret email account. He had forgotten to log out from the shared computer. The inbox contained hundreds of messages and pictures. I looked through them all. There were poems, my unromantic father writing poems, and love letters filled with so much yearning I could hardly believe it. The woman was curly-haired and thin, with smiling eyes and rice milk skin, and my father was so happy in those pictures that I couldn't help but hate her. But It made me hate myself even more. Champagne spills onto the floor. Come on, George cajoles my mother. Let the girls have a sip. Uma is in a state of bliss. Yes, yes, she says, with an absent-minded wave. We could ask her for anything right now and she would agree. I take a sip. Bubbles go up my nose. I cough and hand the flute to Ji-yoon, who sets it down. We were thinking about a quick wedding. Uma continues. Lately she has been trying to speak more English at home, but in her excitement she has switched into Korean, the words flowing rapidly from her mouth. The diamond glitters, catching the light, and I turn away, nauseated by the sight. Maybe over the summer, as soon as you're done with school, Ji-won. That way we can go on the honeymoon together. George was thinking about a week in Beijing and a week in Seoul. What do you guys think? I shrug and watch as they drink glass after glass of champagne. Once the bottle is empty, they disappear into the bedroom, giggling like school children. You didn't tell them about what happened? Ji-yoon says. Her hand has been glued to her ankle all night. Already she has scratched off the first layer of skin. A clear liquid oozes from the scar. We are cleaning up the takeout boxes and the puddle left by the champagne bottle on the kitchen tile. Ji-yoon picks up the empty rice sack that Uma has been using as a trash can. I was thinking about it and maybe I imagined the whole thing, I say. What? Ji-yoon stops. That doesn't make me feel any better. I've been tired lately. I'm pretty sure there was nobody there. Are you lying? You're lying. She glares and sets the bulging sack on the floor. There's a tear somewhere in the bottom. A putrid brown fluid leaks out. I hate it when you lie to me. I can tell when you do it, you know. I don't ever lie to you. Whatever, Ji-yoon grumbles. You don't need to worry about me. I can take care of myself. She picks up the bag again and walks toward the door. A trail of brown liquid follows her on the carpet. I listen to her walk to the trash chute, her footsteps slow, and when she comes back, she looks at me reproachfully. You shouldn't say things like that, Unni. You know I worry about you, she says. I always do. 30. I'm back at the bus stop. It's night time and the moon is hidden behind a bank of clouds. The street lamps are broken, they flicker on and off. My head feels foggy and the bus is late. I peer down the dark street. There's a shuffling noise behind me. I turn to look. It's the stranger from the bus stop. They approach me with outstretched hands. I stumble backward and fall on the asphalt. The pain is jarring, but I scramble to my feet. I need to run. I need to get away. What do you want? I scream. I don't have anything. My legs refuse to work. They are stuck to the ground and the stranger is approaching, closer and closer. Their eyes are the only thing I can see, and even in the darkness, I can see their vividness. Blue. Morning glory blue. Niagara Falls blue. The blue of my father's favorite tie, of the southern California skies during summer vacations. Go away! I scream, louder this time. Leave me alone! They stop in front of me. I close my eyes, and, when nothing happens, I peek through my eyelashes. The person unwinds the scarf. around and around until finally I can see their face. It's George. His eyes are so beautiful, but when he grins at me, his mouth is an empty hole, toothless and rotting. I step backward, shivering. "George," I say softly. "George, it's me, G1." To my horror his eyes begin bulging out of his head. They grow and grow and grow until they are protruding out of his face. With a wet gurgle, they pop out of the sockets and fall to the floor. I shriek as they bounce over my unmoving, unworking feet. Cold air blasts my face. I open my eyes. I'm in the kitchen. The refrigerator door is wide open. I'm crouched in front of it, and cherry tomatoes are rolling on the floor around me. I've appended the entire carton. They are so round and smooth and firm. Even though it's late and I'm not hungry, I close my eyes and pop one in my mouth.